the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Thursday morning already, a Thursday morning here in the bye week for Auburn. We're glad that you joined us here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake and joining us wherever it is that you join us. Just diving straight into what we want to talk about again this week, a reevaluation. Does that ever work? When you go to an off week and the coach and things probably haven't gone the way that you would want them to go, and obviously this has not gone the way Auburn coaches, players, fans, concession stand workers, construction workers, whatever, whoever else you want to add in there, it ain't gone the way they wanted it to go. So you go in and reevaluate. I mean, what have you been doing before? And why did you have to have, 4 or 5 games under your belt to decide that, man, we need to change some stuff? I said this again. I know I'm right all the time. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I said this last week before the A&M game. I said, do you go in here? If you see the same thing again, do you make a change at quarterback? Do you make a change on the offensive line? Because if you see the same problems again rear their head, why do you keep going down the same path? Well, here we are, reevaluate. And the more I thought about what I said, the more I thought about what Hugh Freeze said after the game and what he said yesterday, to me just makes me even madder, to be honest with you.
Well, first off, I want to thank you for starting with this topic this morning instead of basketball, because Brett actually went to practice yesterday.
I did.
And he actually sent out about a dozen positive text messages on what he saw from Pro Day at Auburn basketball. But hell no, he's going to start this morning talking about football with me. So here we go. Let me give you 15 minutes of great football talk, Brett. And then you and Faith can have some fun 20 minutes in and talk some positive.
I'll let you talk a little basketball before.
No, I ain't going to have time because we got 15 minutes of negative to talk about with this football program. But it's the same story, different day. When I read the comments on running the football yesterday,
I'm sick. I'm sick of it.
There's nothing is more upsetting as an Auburn fan than to hear Hugh Freeze say that, we've just got to commit to running the football. And if we only get, hold up, it gets worse. And if we only get 2 or 3 yards a carry, then so be it. Has anyone looked at the facts that came out on the last couple of SEC games from Auburn in third down conversions, what the average yards per conversion was?
11.7.
Like, I saw a tweet yesterday where it said if Auburn were to down the football 2 consecutive plays, they would have a better setup for third down than what we've gotten so far.
That's true. I mean,
we've gone backwards.
Yes, correct.
So if you run the ball for 3 yards 2 consecutive plays, I've got a lot of plays in the arsenal for 3rd and 4. But 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, everybody in America knows what you got to do. You're not going to run for a first down. You may run it to get 4 or 5 yards to set up the punt, but you're not going to run it for a first down most of the time on that. So it's just so frustrating. And it's easy to sit here and do what we do as talking heads, but there are some basic things that are topics that we talk about each and every year. I mean, does anybody deny that Jarquez Hunter was one of the best backs in the conference last year?
He was the best back in the conference.
And does anybody question that we didn't use him as much as we should have, especially in, say, the Vandy game and some others last year? No. I mean, and then you hear the same conversation this year. Does anybody watching Jeremiah Cobb think that he's not a very valuable player on this team and could be an outstanding top 3 or 4 running backs in the conference?
I think he's got every tool to be the best running back in this league. I really do.
Does anybody watch us on the edges at offensive tackles and think that we're communicating well, sliding well, picking.
No.
So how do you make that a little bit easier on yourself? Run the damn football. Just
Hey,
run
let
the
me ask
football.
you a question. Go back to the Baylor game. And after the game, you and I and everybody else was so happy with what Hugh Freeze said.
Thrilled.
He came out and said, look, we took what they gave us. Yeah, everybody wants to throw the ball. Yes, we got dynamic receivers, but we'd be a fool not to have done what we did. And we're going to have our day to throw the ball. But right now, if teams are going to give us that, we're just going to gouge them and we're going to gash them and we're going to keep running the ball. And I would rather do that anyway. And then I think he has succumbed to the temptation of having these. And again, it's kind of like the bright, shiny objects over here on the side that catch your attention. Well, we do have unbelievable wide receivers. And it's kind of like you go, man, I know we need to be doing this, but we need to be throwing the ball too, because this is just not how people want to watch Auburn. They want to see us throw the ball around. I really think, and I may be wrong, but I really think personally that has crept into the mindset of this offense that they go, well, we just have to throw. Because what else makes sense in the first quarter and second quarter of the Texas A&M game when you only run the ball 4 times with your running backs? Can you tell me, after what you did on the road at Baylor, and when you look at Texas A&M's defensive run game, or when their defense against the run is 130 yards a game, why would you not run the ball more than 4 times? I mean, it didn't make any sense, like 0 sense.
Well, that's my point. But, you use the word crept. Hell, Brett, this didn't creep in. When he didn't have good receivers, this was a problem. Like, I don't look back to a couple of years ago and think, man, I wish we would have thrown the ball a little more. Hell no. I dang sure don't look back to last year where some of them were true freshmen and we knew there were going to be some growing pains, but success was hopefully a couple of years down the road, and think, man, I wish we'd throw it 38 times rather than turn and give it to Jarquez 24 times a game. I don't know a single Auburn fan that feels that way, because it's an identity crisis. And if you're going to be stubborn enough, and I'm not saying that we can run the ball against these teams, Brett. Hell, who would know? Jeremiah Cobb has got 6 carries in the last 2 SEC games, 6 per game. Who knows if we can run it? Who knows if those 2 guards that I think are pretty good run blockers, by the way, unless Connor Lew has forgotten how to play football, I think he's a pretty good run blocker. Now I question these 2 tackles and the choices we made there, the same as every Auburn fan right now, and until they play better. But running the football, I think, is a little bit easier communication than what I've seen in our pass protection. So I don't have the answers for it. I don't coach football. I talk football. I do it with you. I broadcast. I know good when I see it. I know bad when I see it. I try to call a spade a spade. It's the reason I'm upset with you right now that I don't get to actually pull some positive out of you from that basketball that you watched yesterday. And by the way, Brett felt real good about it. If I don't get a chance to talk about it,
I'm gonna let you talk about it. I'm not gonna use
he was a little giddy about Pro Day. He's not saying we're going to win a national championship, but he and I had a nice little back and forth yesterday morning that was some of the normal talking head deals whenever you have a change in coach. So I'm not throwing shade on him. I'm just saying that he certainly felt a little different about that basketball program yesterday afternoon when those 2 key pieces said that they were coming.
Right.
That was a big reason, but there were other people that you were just as impressed with as those 2, Brett. But
yeah, I definitely wanted to see, and that one pro day doesn't make anything either. I mean, and we'll talk about what, Stephen Pearl said after practice yesterday and all that, but no, off the hoof in a scrimmage situation, I was very impressed with some of the guys. And again, this is a brand new team outside of Todd Pettiford. And I'll just say this, when Todd Pettiford's like the 5th guy that stands out to you on the floor, and that was, and look, we all know how important he is, but when he's like the 5th guy, and I think most anybody up there with me, all of us sitting there in the media section, I know Faith said the same thing, and she and I were talking, but Jason and Nathan and Ferg and everybody else that was up there. I mean, yeah, there were some guys that really shined yesterday. Of course, we'd never seen them before really until that setting. So, yeah, I mean, the next practice could be a bust. I mean, you just don't know. But I thought for a pro day where there were NBA scouts in the building and, just a short amount of time when you think about it, with all those guys being together, split up in two different teams, kind of going back and forth in a scrimmage situation. I thought it was very fluid. I thought offensively they can get up and down the floor really fast. This is a more athletic team than last year. It's going to look different than last year. I think it could be a more exciting brand of basketball. I don't know what the results are going to be, but offensively, I don't think we're going to have problems scoring points, especially when we get out in transition. Now, defensively, we're not as big. And, we're going to have to do some things. And Coach Pearl talked about that too. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought, man, I was very pleased with where and you should be, because when you look at the guys that both Pearls went out and got and everybody else on this coaching staff went out and got, they were guys everybody wanted. I mean, Keyshawn Hall being the number one guy. And when you watch Keyshawn Hall play, you see, okay, yep, I see why everybody wanted him. And when you see it with your own two eyes. And then
what stood out about him, Brett, to you?
Just he can do whatever he wants to do. He can take somebody off the dribble. He can get down on the block, and he can make moves. He can shoot threes. He can defend. I just didn't see anything. He caused a couple steals. He got out in transition. He runs really well. He just is. He's a complete player, man. He really is. And then when you add, Williams Adams in there, which was a pleasant surprise to me. Of course, I didn't know a lot about him, but I didn't have him on the top of my list of guys that I was expecting. And you got Keyshawn Murphy inside, and then I was very impressed with Musalak. I thought he competed really hard. Kevin Overton thought was again, I can go down the roster, and just list all these guys, but I just thought they all had good points to them. And, there were some turnovers and stuff. I'll go through the stats here in a little bit, but, there were some things obviously you got to work on, but for the most part, man, everything looked like it was in sync and guys were on the same page, and it looked fluid.
Well, you had two newcomers that I think you were more impressed with than anybody, and it's because of their shooting. And, I think that as long as Tahad is as active as we know he's going to be, it's going to open up a lot of outside shots, Brett, because that's what this team's probably built around. And
right.
You've got, a guy that's about 6'2", and then you can extend the perimeter out with a 6'7", 6'8" guy. So those were the two that you started the conversation with me on yesterday.
Yeah, Magwood and Bashir, without a doubt. And I think there are other people that posted the same thing I posted. I think they're the two best pure shooters I've seen at Auburn. Now, you know what that means? When they'll get in the game, they won't hit anything. And everybody will go, well, what the heck was he talking about? Like, what was he watching? Like, no, I think from literally the standpoint of the release and how they can get their shot, it looks so good. Caden Magwood was 4 or 5 from outside. Abdul Bashir, he shoots the ball well, but he didn't shoot a lot yesterday. He only had 4 points, but his shot is really, really good. But then you got Elijah Freeman who can stroke it. Like Elijah Freeman he's a pure shooter too. You got 3 guys on this team right there that can really just shoot the basketball. I'm very impressed with their release and how they can get a shot. So, guard play outside of like I said, Todd's good. Todd had 8 points, but I look at some of these guys. Todd was 3 of 13 shooting, and we saw that last year, Randy. There were times where Todd would fire up a bunch of shots and they just wouldn't fall. He was 2 of 9 from outside, but when you look at you look at a guy like Kevin Overton, 2 of 4 from outside. You look at, Elijah Freeman, who ended up with 12 points. You look at Cade Magwood with 15 points. You look at Sebastian Williams-Adams had 13 points, and he was 2 of 3 from outside. And, he's a bigger guy. So, you just got a lot of versatility in this roster.
Jokic, what did you think of him and how you see him fitting in? He's a guy that can go. He can do a lot of things out on the court, a lot like a lot of other European play. Where do you think he fits into the mix, Brett?
Yeah, I definitely think I don't want to say, I hate to use a role player, but like he can do a lot. Now again, he's got to adjust to this type of player in competition over here from what he's been. Now he's been competing, like Stephen Pearl said, against grown men. So he's not, he's been playing pro ball, so he knows how to play. And you could tell he fit right in. But the speed and athleticism compared to what he sees in Europe is going to be a little bit different for him. But like his stat line, 3 of 3, being able to clean up some boards, get some putbacks there, had 1 rebound. So I think he's a good piece to this team. I really think he'll be a guy that you could look up in a game and he could have 15 or 8.
Well, the pieces are the difference makers. As long as the pieces are like Chaney Johnson, where you just keep watching. I remember year 1. And look, this is the biggest benefit if you read in to the coaching staff before and the coaching staff now, is that Ira Bowman and the rest of this coaching staff's super at developing players. And Chaney Johnson was developed the entire time he was at Auburn. He's a good player at the beginning. By the end of that first year, he was a very good player. And then last year, you could just see the entire skill set get better and better. So I think that these role players are the reason that you have the depth to be able to compete at that level. And a versatile role player is even more important. Somebody that can defend a 4 or a 2. Those type of players in today's game are super valuable.
Yeah, and I think again, when you look at Elijah Freeman and Sebastian Williams-Adams and Jovic and a lot of these Kevin Overton, all of those guys probably are capable of scoring 12 to 15 points a night, but don't have to, right? I think what we talk about a lot on Auburn's roster is, over the last several years, is what you just said, is you look down, it doesn't have to be the same guy that scores 20 every night. This guy could have an off night and the team's fine, because somebody's going to pick up the slack and somebody's going to step up. So again, this is not breaking news. This is a deep team. I think they went out and did a great job of filling this roster. I think it's going to be a very competitive team. Now, the schedule is tough really quickly out of the gate. It's not an easy schedule, but that's part of it. You learn early in the season how to play, and don't shy away from good competition. Don't shy away from good teams. You jump in there and you kind of get a barometer of how you are, and then you get prepared to go into SEC play. And I think that's kind of been the philosophy for Bruce Pearl the last couple of years, especially last year, is that you already know what you are by the time you head into SEC play. You're not getting into SEC play trying to figure it out.
Well, one last question for both of y'all, then I'll step aside. But Stephen Pearl's comments, everybody was happy to hear those 2 guys were coming back. I think that was what most people were there to listen to. But overall, the way that y'all feel he's been handling the press and this turnover from his father to him as the head coach right now.
Yeah, I think it's difficult either way, stepping into a new role, but also a role that you have big shoes to fill, because not only is it your father, but it's the one who turned around Auburn's basketball program. And whether or not it's difficult when it comes to relaying things to the press, or just having that charismatic energy towards everyone who's looking at you, because everyone is looking at you right now under a microscope. I think he's done a really good job of trying to take on the load of the role he has to fill. And so, yesterday it solidified what everybody was wondering and questions that were rising. And so I think it's a big win for him.
I don't have much to add off that. I think spot on. I think, he's 10, 11 days into a job.
Yeah.
He's saying the right things.
He's keeping the right players happy and on the squad. I mean,
that's the biggest win already.
Yeah.
Like, that's win number one for him. And I think, again, all the speculation, all the rumors, the things that kind of came out the day before, and I told both of y'all this, and if Hall's not on this team, now it's different. Again, we say you got a good roster, but you can go on any roster and pull a couple of guys off.
Oh, sure.
Namely Hall and Pettiford, and now the whole makeup's different. The whole scheme's different, what you can do and what you can't do. So, I think that was win number one, to retain those guys. And now we'll see, just not too long away from first exhibition game and scrimmage against Oklahoma State. So you're going to be getting ready here to see some basketball in a few days.
Well, Faith, there was no way I was not getting the positive Brett this morning. So I let him force me into about 3 or 4 minutes of football talk. And then I was successful in swaying him over to 17 minutes of basketball talk. So now I'm going to let y'all finish this thing out talking about that football team. That if y'all have some good answers for this, I'll be all ears.
There's none.
All right, I'll be tuning in.
All right.
Hi, Randy.
Welcome in, Faith. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. Let's get to some of our partners here on the program before we go into some more Auburn football talk. And I'll get your take, obviously, on basketball, too, because you and I were there yesterday. Cincy Green.
Cincy Green, for air that's cool and clean. This fall during Dollar Days, call Cincy Green for major discounts on HVAC repairs and installs, plus installation with Professor Greenbacks. Get HVAC smart at cincygreen.com through Thanksgiving with up to $100 off HVAC repairs, $500 off installation work, and $1,500 off a new HVAC system. Cincy Green with Carrier, turn to the experts. How cool are these coupons?
I don't know. How cool are they, Faith? You're the one that has the coupons. I don't have them.
It's pretty cool, I can tell you that. And so are Carrier units, especially installed by Cincy Green. You're going to be able to have cool air conditioning while it's not going to be getting any cooler outdoors.
No, hey, it's been nice outside a little bit at night, but during the day it's still scorching. So Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, serving the Southeast, working with municipalities, governments, boards of education, whatever it is that you're doing. If you got a major project that you're looking at, they are the ones to hire. I mean, you need a program management company that's going to take you from the pre-construction phase to the finished product and basically hold your hand all the way through and make sure you get delivered what you are paying for. So call on Scout Program Management. Again, they do phenomenal work. I witnessed it myself.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. Bunkers actually just released all of the interesting things that they have going on this week at Bunkers. So they're going to have a lot of their happy hour deals. They're going to have a lot of their live performances at Bunkers throughout the month and everything like that. They actually are going to be open on Monday, 10/6. Normally they're not open on Mondays, Brett.
They're changing all kind of stuff right now.
They sure are. And so just some of the happy hour deals that they have, $10 pitchers. Friday, they're going to have $1 Jello shots and $1 wings all day. I don't know where you can go to get $1 wings around here, but I can tell you it's not a lot of places in Auburn, Alabama. So head over to Bunkers. If you're not going to be going anywhere this bye week, go to Bunkers to watch all the good football that's going to be on this weekend. They're going to have $1 Jello shots also on Saturday. So head over.
I didn't, the dollar doesn't go very far anymore, but it goes a long way at Bunkers.
It sure does.
That's great. All right.
Wings, Jello shots. What more can you ask for?
Take you a bunch of dollar bills in there and take care of it. So, I mean, doesn't go very far anymore, but like I said, does at Bunkers. Proud to be partnered with all those great people. We'll have some more partners that we will talk about a little bit later on. Justin said, I know it's slim to none that this gets turned around. But did y'all have Auburn winning the past 2 games? Is 8-4 still on the table? What we did have, Justin, is that we had Auburn splitting these 2 games at worst, didn't we, Faith?
Yeah, I think so. I want to say because we thought that if Auburn went 3-3 in the first 6 games, that there was going to be a huge issue that happened. And so I believe we tried to split the games, and one of us had Oklahoma, one of us had Texas A&M. 8-4 means there needs to be a huge turnaround. That means the only 2 games you're going to be losing are Georgia and Alabama. And you look this weekend, College Game Day is at the Alabama Vanderbilt game, which is bizarre.
Yep.
But you've got to play Vanderbilt away at home for them. And
you got Missouri and who's playing well.
Exactly. You've got Missouri coming in. Is Kentucky the only game that you're going to win? By the skin of their teeth last year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Auburn was able to go up there and pull out a win.
Yeah, it's not a it's just not a good look. And in all the rumors that have been going around this week, I know you and I have been talking about that and everything that's been. I mean, there's nothing substantive about any of that. We haven't.
Which is why I don't think we even need to say anything.
Oh, we're not. Yeah,
right.
I'm not going to discuss it. It's just that's what you get going into an off week when there ain't anything else to talk about. And I had somebody message me yesterday and said, "Well, I heard y'all don't have access to practice this week." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Because it's off." I said, "We're off this week. And there's nothing to go watch." And so, as far as from our standpoint and how they have it scheduled, they're practicing, but it's different. And that was going to be done if Auburn were undefeated.
No question.
It wouldn't have mattered. So yeah, I mean, things kind of just build on themselves. And but you know what? Hugh Freeze and this team are to blame for why all this is going on, because you haven't taken care of business the last 2 weeks. You have dug yourself a hole now. You did have 2 games that were winnable, and it really wasn't about the other team going out and beating you. It was more about you falling on your face,
beating themselves. That's what it is.
Right. So no, I don't think from that standpoint, the rumors are going to swirl, especially out in message board world and everywhere else. I know you've gotten text. I've gotten text from people. Is there any truth to this? Is this going to happen? And so I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. And so I don't know what this looks like after Georgia. Again, does anybody have any confidence that Auburn's going to find some magic solution to fix these offensive woes to go in there and compete with Georgia? I mean, defensively we'll be fine. I really feel that way. But is there any, like yesterday, the comments, Faith, from Hugh Freeze about the running game? Well, you got to run the daggum ball more. Well, no kidding. No kid. Like, why are we talking about this after 2 horrendous game plans? I mean, after you did what you should have done against Baylor, and you even said it. I mean, he comes out and says, "Look, I know that everybody wanted to see us throw the ball around, and that's going to happen down the line, but this is what Baylor was giving us, and we took it. And if teams are going to do this to us, we're going to ram the ball down their throat." And then you go play one of the worst run defenses in the league in Texas A&M, and you run it 4 times in the first half with your 2 premier running backs. The rationale, I just can't make any sense of it. And the more I talk about it, the more pissed off I get. I mean,
when he was saying that, even if they're just getting 2 or 3 or 4 yards on running the ball, what difference does that really make when you're starting at 1st and 15?
It doesn't.
Because that's a huge – if you're 1st and 15 and you're only going to get 3 yards.
How? Yeah. The stat that I sent over to you yesterday that we talked about earlier, Auburn would be better off spiking the ball on first and second down and just getting the ball 3rd and 10, because right now Auburn's averaging like 11.5 yards on 3rd downs.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's embarrassing. Like you're actually trying on first and second down, and you're so bad that on 3rd down you would have just been better off to just spike the ball and start at 3rd and 10. And so, now I know we've talked all this to death for the last couple of weeks on the ineptness of this offense, but I'm just going to realistically ask you, and it's why I titled our podcast this morning what I titled it. Does reevaluating in the season ever work? When you hear a coach come in and go, well, we're just going to reevaluate all this, have you ever seen it where coaches do that and then all of a sudden things just miraculously turn around and teams go on a heater at that point? Have you ever seen it?
Now we're five games into the season. You can reevaluate after the first game. You can reevaluate after the first. Now, after the 5th, there's a fundamental problem or a coaching problem.
Bingo. You said it. I mean, it's the truth. That is really where the buck stops. You can come up with all kind of different things, but what you've coached and the schemes and the things you've done in preparation to get to this point in the season is all on the organization and what the coaches are doing day in and day out and preparing this team to play. So the thing to look at is that is what you got to look at from a standpoint of why are they not getting it done the way they need to get it done.
I wish I had answers.
It's just mind blowing to me. And then, you don't get paid what you get paid to have to stop and just break down everything you've done in the off season and preparing for this. Like, you're supposed to be like, what was the term a coach told me the other day? So you're supposed to be, adding to and enhancing what you're doing at this point. If you're having to go back and teach fundamentals, and you're so far behind at that point mid-season. If you're having to go backwards and redo things that you should have had in your back pocket in the spring. So that's why I'm saying reevaluating going into an off week, 5 games into a season, generally doesn't work out very well for the rest of the season. And we saw a reevaluation last year, didn't we? We saw, like you used to say, ring around the rosy with the quarterbacks. Peyton Thorne didn't work out. Oh, we were just confident in him. And then he had a couple of bad games. You go to Hank Brown, and then Hank Brown gets the start against Arkansas, and he craps the bed. And then you go back to Peyton Thorne. And basically, when you do that, you have no plan. You don't know who's the right guy. And you're totally unconfident about the whole situation, and you saw what the result was. You were competitive because your defense was good, but outside of that, there was no substance to what you were doing. You were just trying to throw mud on the wall and see what would stick.
It's just disappointing because, again, like you said, we've done ring around the rosy. We've done ring around the rosy last year on the offensive line because of some of the injuries that happened. And this year you have enough depth to actually have somebody go in at that position if there's an injury or subbing and something along those lines. And now it's, why is it still not working is the question.
I truly, and I hate to say this over and over, but I swear we have this conversation every year. We have this conversation of why is this not working? Why is our offensive line not blocking? Well, why is our quarterback uncomfortable back there throwing the football? I mean, it's just insert a new person into the same situation. new quarterback, new offensive lineman, whatever, but it's the same problem, doesn't get fixed. And I think that's why people are they're done giving Hugh Freeze the benefit of the doubt. Faith, they're at this point, like you're 2.5 years in, this is your program now. And I don't see any change from year one in what you inherited to where you are now. You still are dealing with the same issues. And is there any confidence that that's going to get corrected?
Do you think actually that if Jackson Arnold had the confidence to throw the ball the way Peyton Thorne did, okay, he wasn't afraid to throw interceptions. He wasn't afraid of any of that. If Jackson Arnold had that confidence, what kind of team do you think Auburn would be?
If repeat that again.
If Jackson Arnold had the same confidence in his throwing ability that Peyton Thorne did,
okay,
what kind of team do you think Auburn would be on?
I think it'd be a different team right now because I think Jackson, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say he's a better quarterback because I've only seen what we've seen.
A more accurate quarterback.
I would say that yes, a more accurate quarterback. I think that if he would have
in practice,
in practice,
that's the only place we've seen some of it. Okay,
that's right, and we've seen him in the hurry up drills, and it looks good. I mean, when he's not having to process and think, when he's reacting, I think he's really good. Now, again, I cannot get the play out of my mind on 4th down where he rolls out and he's got Eric Singleton dragging across the field wide open. I mean, to me, was a very easy throw. I saw it. Everybody up in the press box saw it, and I thought, man, this is a 1st down, and he wouldn't throw the football. And he ran and got tackled short of the line, and it was a turnover on downs, and Eric Singleton lost his mind. Like, why won't you throw me the ball? I'm standing by myself. And it's that to me is very, very bizarre. Well, it's bizarre. Like, I don't even understand where your mind is. If he's rolling that direction and he sees that guy, but he's too scared to throw the ball to a wide open space. It's not like A&M had anybody around Eric saying this was not going to be a tough throw. Now he's running and he'll have to throw against, but you've got all this real estate to work with. It's not like you got to just put it in a tight window. I mean, you could just throw it, lead it to Eric Sanders, let him run, catch the ball. That to me was the most disheartening play in that whole game because I looked at that and go, I just don't know that he's got the capability to make the plays when Auburn needs him to make plays if he's not willing to throw a pass in a wide open space. I think I texted you right after that, and I go, I'm like, the play was there. The play was there, and he didn't throw the ball, and there's no reason for us not to be. I think that would have gotten us down inside the 20. And it was moving toward the end zone where the dang cannon was, where you were getting your ears blown out. But we were moving that direction, and the play was there, and he didn't take it. And so, look, for all the things that we talk about with coaches and stuff, if you can't throw a football in a wide open space, there ain't a coach out there that can help you on that. That's a mental block, and that's a problem. And that's not you standing in the pocket getting pressured either. You're rolling out, giving yourself time. Yeah, you're under pursuit, but I mean, you've got the field in front of you. I mean, pull the trigger. I would have just been happy if you'd have thrown it in the ground.
After watching and looking at the way Ty Simpson views the field, and I hate to use Alabama as an example, but we were able to watch that Alabama-Georgia game. And the way that Ty Simpson was able to view the field was so much more advanced and experienced than Jackson Arnold. And this is Ty Simpson's first year actually starting.
No, you're right. I mean,
that's a problem.
Well, no, it is. I mean, it absolutely is a problem. And again, it makes you question why, this is what Hugh Freeze wanted is his quarterback, and that he saw what Jackson Arnold struggled with at Oklahoma. Now everybody wanted to blame the offensive line being terrible over there and all that, but there were more reasons than just that. And obviously there was a reason he wasn't getting it done. But guess what Oklahoma was doing? Oklahoma was the imps of Auburn last year. They couldn't make a decision, so they run the freshman out there, and he ain't good enough. So guess who they go back to? Jackson Arnold. And the only two teams Oklahoma beat last year in the SEC were Auburn and Alabama, and they destroyed Alabama in Oklahoma, and they didn't have to throw the ball. Like, you go back and pull Jackson Arnold's stats, I don't even think he had 100 yards passing, but he gashed them on the ground. And, that was the same night Auburn played Texas A&M, and Auburn found a way to win that game, and Alabama got blown out. I remember everybody going, man, this Iron Bowl, Auburn's got a chance, man. They could go up there and, they've exposed Alabama's weaknesses. Oklahoma has. Auburn can run the ball with Jarquez Hunter and all that, and then same old crap. But I think your analysis of Ty or anybody, it didn't even have to be Ty Simpson, it's some of these other quarterbacks and how they are able to, like you said, view the field, be able to see their progressions and be willing to throw the football in spaces where, it's tight, but you got confidence. When you throw the ball in a tight window, Faith, sometimes you can be labeled a gunslinger mentality and reckless, but you also can be labeled as a quarterback that's really confident and says, look, I got confidence in my abilities and my receiver's abilities to go make that play and to go beat that guy he's going up against. And so right now I don't see Jackson Arnold, number one, confident in himself, and number two, that he has any confidence that our receivers can go make the play that he needs them to make. And that's disheartening too, because it's sad because they're not getting a chance to go make a play.
Well, just like I said before about Bo Nix and how he just was on the decline at Auburn, is this same thing happening to Deuce Knight behind the scenes? Is he progressing any more than, because we haven't seen Jackson Arnold grow in advance. Is that happening to Deuce Knight? Is he not learning anything else? Is he becoming more nervous to make a mistake the way Jackson Arnold is?
Who knows? I mean, that's the thing.
We don't, exactly. We don't know.
Yep. We don't know at all. I mean, so I think after the Georgia game, you're gonna find out a lot more about the direction of this team, who stays, who goes. And I mean that sincerely, because I don't know at that point, all your aspirations of trying to be a playoff team or do anything like that are completely dashed. And depending on how the game goes, will determine, like I said, who's walking the sideline, maybe even the rest of the season or not. So we're not getting caught up in the rumor mill here, but I think you seriously have to look at that. And then at that point, what are we doing with Jackson Arnold? If your future is Deuce Knight, why not give him the rest of the season and say, look, hey, go be good, go do your thing, and let's get this half year under your belt, so when you come in next year. But I'm so sick of saying that right there. I'm even about to throw up off what I said. Like, why are we already talking about next year? Why are we already talking about, okay, let's just see what we can salvage? And like, let's go back to the original thing we talked about out of the spring and into the fall camp, Faith, and we talked about so much this summer. This schedule, Auburn should have been at minimum an 8-4 team. With this schedule, this roster, we talked about it for 2 months. Should be this. And look at where we're sitting already. I mean, basically, like you said earlier, to be 8-4, you can only lose 2 more games the rest of the way out. I mean, you've already lost 2. So now you got to play dang near perfect all the way out. And what we've seen from this offense doesn't lead anybody to believe that they can come close to winning out.
It's just frustrating.
It is.
There's
It
no
is.
other way to put it.
We talk in circles. All right. Let's talk about some more of our partners real quick. Old Number One Customs. Man, just such a great group, man. They have been a pleasure. They basically moved in my house. I don't know what else to say.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. They're out, and we're going to have some pictures coming for everybody. But if you want them to come to your house and really transform your bedroom, your bathroom, your kitchen, your living space, your dining room, or an outdoor living space, you need to call them. 334-752-6162. Old Number One Customs. They do beautiful work. I can personally attest to that. You guys will see that next week.
What's another $15.99 for that home atlas water filter duo by JFA Blue Plumbing, so that bathtub that you have can have all filtered, purified water, but not just your bathtub. Every single faucet in your house, Brett, will have purified, filtered water coming out of it. And that's so important when it comes to your health, your family's health, your internal and external health. So go ahead and call on JFA Blue Plumbing at 844-JFA Blue.
Yeah, everybody can remember that number. You don't even have to write it down.
Oliver Ross, go ahead and get your tailgate a bartender, because why would you want to do any of that when Oliver Ross is professional bartenders and they can do it? So call on them and make sure you have them for the rest of the season, even going into basketball season, sorority, fraternity, date parties, anything of that sort. Call on Oliver Ross. They are going to be the bartending service for you.
Absolutely. Don't look like a fool. Let them do it. Justice L, what's the biggest issue for this offense? Penalties, O-line, scheme, play, all of that. Every bit of it. All of it. No, that's the easiest answer I can give you. Will correcting one of those fix other issues? I think getting behind the sticks, first, second down is the biggest, no doubt. I mean, when you're starting behind as much as Auburn is, you're really just killing your own chances. I mean, it's not the other team. It's you're damaging your chances yourself. You're having self-inflicted wounds. So, yeah, I think all of that you just listed off, Justin. I'm not being funny. It's all part of it. The O-line, penalty scheme, and play calling, all terrible. It's all terrible. And that's why you get the product you're getting right now. Craig said you can't win a close game. Yep, we can't win a close game because of all that I just talked about that Justin just made a comment on. When you're pouring all that, can't win a close game. I mean, we all say it. You got to go on the road. You got to play dang near like perfect football in the SEC to win on the road. And we're playing far from on the perfect football, and we're in these games. So if you wanted to find a silver lining in all this, is that Auburn has gone and should have been blown out by the way they've played, especially last week, but have played well enough defensively, and maybe the other team performed poorly enough to keep Auburn in it. But if you were playing somebody that was on top of their stuff, I mean, Auburn could have been getting beat 24-3 easily going into the fourth quarter. Instead, it was a 13-10 game, and you had the ball and couldn't do anything with it. So just disheartening. All right, before we go, Faith, I do want to get your take a little bit on basketball. We talked about it a little bit, and we'll talk more about it maybe tomorrow and as we head into basketball season. But the pro day yesterday I thought went really well. The final numbers that we had coming out of practice yesterday looked pretty good. You and I talked about Caden Magwood, Abdul Bashir, and Elijah Freeman shooting the basketball. Man, I was very, very impressed with those guys.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful eye for just the game and being able to shoot the ball and the confidence in themselves. A fun team to watch. A lot of really good guys that it's fun to watch them in the way they play.
Yeah, I thought, obviously Sebastian Williams-Adams stood out, 13 points. Caden Magwood had 15. When you look at shooting, Tahad was 3 of 13, and we saw that happen a lot last year. He's more of a distributor of the basketball. Now, he likes to shoot. He was 2 of 9 from outside, so he likes to fire the threes, and we saw games last year, man, where he couldn't throw it in the ocean. And don't know that that's going to be his role this year, Faith. I think with Magwood and Bashir and Freeman, the pressure is going to be more on him to distribute the ball to them rather than him be a guy that needs to score 12 to 15 points a game.
I wasn't there for the little, was it a script? What
Scrimmage, yeah.
Yeah, a little scrimmage that you got to see. But before that, something that I noticed that maybe it wasn't as big of a big deal, but I noticed a lot of rebounding that was enforced by a lot of the coaches and just some of the guys on the team. I think offensive rebounds was something that Auburn really struggled with last year. And from what I saw yesterday, it looked like it had been instilled that maybe it was a little bit bigger of a point to take care of.
Yeah, my priority to get on the boards a little bit
Yeah.
harder. Keyshawn Murphy, thought 7 rebounds, 7 points. Man, he just brings. Still had a brace, but is back to practicing full. There, I mean, again, I think Jovic is going to have a role. I think he's a really, really good player. And you got to have all these pieces to have a complete team. And I think Coach Pearl said it, after practice yesterday, that, we were more of a 6 to 7 man team coming down the stretch because that's who they had confidence in. So the bench wasn't as deep as they liked it to have been. He said, going to have to be a more of a 8, 9, 10 group this year. Going to have the 8, 9, 10 guys be productive and be relied on to have quality minutes if they want to achieve the things that they want to achieve. So very athletic team, get up and down the floor. Offensively, going to be fun to watch. Now, defensively, like he said, they're going to have to do a lot more switching because of mismatch, because of who they're going to have on the floor. They're going to be playing against teams that are going to be running out a bigger lineup. So they've got to be able to do some things, and they've got to be able to create offense off of their defense. They got to be able to create some steals and get out in transition. And look, last year obviously was one of the best, if not the best team in Auburn basketball history. But there were times that it was a very sluggish, couldn't get the ball, on the offensive side of the court. Ran down the shot clock to the end a lot because couldn't get in a flow. And I think they were trying to run a lot through, Janai Broom, which was obviously the right thing to do. But there was not a flow because I think you were just trying to accommodate the pieces. Now, again, the results were obviously it worked. You went to the Final Four. You set a record in wins and all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying it wasn't a good year. I'm just saying that maybe even with that, this team could have more of a fluid look in the way they run their offense.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a fun team to watch and hopefully see them progress. But it was a good day yesterday.
It was a good day. Had a lot of fun and looking forward to that moving forward. Okay, that's going to wrap us up this morning. Again, want to thank all of you that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done that, please go out there and do that. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button out there. That helps us out a ton. And again, we will be on location tomorrow. Half of us will. We'll be down at Prime Steakhouse again in Stillwater's Golf Course. Faith will be joining me via StreamYard, so that's great. But I can't. I mean, I know you're probably upset that
I am
going to be bringing out. So I'll save you some. Okay, I got
thanks.
you. Got you. So yeah, make sure you tune us in tomorrow. Again, we'll have our noon show coming up here in just a little bit. Faith and I'll be back in the morning for another edition of the Auburn Blitz podcast, and of course at lunch, and then we'll have high school football tomorrow night. So looking forward to it. It's already Thursday. Already Thursday.
I can't believe it, but I'm excited to get back out on the high school field tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good game. So, all right, Faith, send us out.
Hope everybody has the best day ever.
Be nice to people out there. It's the way to go. And we will see you all tomorrow again, 8 o'clock. Have a great day.